bring one lady and say, there you go, there you go, there you go, holy ones, there you go. They bring one lady, so they only bring part of the guilty to be judged. We in our relationships, sometimes we don't want to condemn those who are like us. We only dislike those people who are unlike us. But they say to him, according to Moses, we should stone her. Right? According to Moses, we should stone her. And Jesus said, well, yeah, that's fine, that's good. That's right. Y'all got your work cut out for you next time. But let the one who is without any sin cast the first stone. See? So now we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about reconciling our spirituality within the relationship. So now in the midst of your relationships, there are really no stones to throw at any of your spiritual counterparts if you are in fact in any way at any time in all of your experience guilty of anything. You don't have to be guilty of this. If you're guilty of anything, then you should know what compassion is. You should know what cooperation is. You should know what love is when you have of your own accord found yourself on the wrong side of the law and needing to be stoned. But it is a spiritual relationship. It's a spiritual interaction. It's a spiritual bond, the relationships that you have. Stop seeing people as random and inconsequential. Your life, let me just show you how idiotic that is. Your hair grows without thought. And the more mature you become, your hair leaves without thought or direction. Your mind thinks without compunction, and thoughts leave your mind without compunction or direction. Your eyes see, and you never have to say to them, look at this or look at that. They just sort of see on their own accord, and you get the benefit of what it is you see, or if you don't like what you see, you can see something else. You never really say to yourself, start to breathe. As a matter of fact, if you stop breathing, your intelligence, your innate intelligence would override your idiocy, and it would begin to breathe for you. I want you to understand how planned and how systematic and how orderly and how intelligent your experience is. Now, what makes you think that those things would, and I didn't even get to your mouth, I only just got to the top of you so far. What makes you think that those things would be designed and orderly and have the innate intelligence within them or the prana within them, and your experience outside would lack that? What makes you think that people who come into your experience are random? They are no more random than is your presence right here and right now. It is as orderly and by design as anything else in your experience, because God knows that you need more help than you think you need. So people are not random. They are spiritual excursions for you. They come to show you how to get yourself together. They come to show you how to help you celebrate yourself. They are spiritual entities. Let's keep going. How we doing? We all right? The last sentence says, we grow in spiritual consciousness to the extent that we acknowledge our oneness with everyone and everything. We grow in spiritual consciousness to the extent that we acknowledge our oneness with everyone and everything. So now, as we are looking at eliminating negative thinking, or eliminating really all things negative, is it work? Yes. Is it work? Yes, I submit to you, it's work. But there was a lady who was around here for a long time, and she said she had the nerve to say something like it works. Huh? It works if you do what? So then you have to work it. You have to work the work. You have to work the work. But we grow in spiritual consciousness to the extent that we acknowledge our oneness with everyone and everything. As I get ready to close, I'll tell a story of this very, very prominent speaker and teacher. And he was giving a seminar. And at the end of the seminar, one of the participants came up and she said, "I need to speak with you." He said, "Sure, no problem." And then she said, "For 3 hours." Well, I mean, if you've ever done anything at any point in time, you know that you don't necessarily have 3 hours to spare just because a random person comes and says to you, "I need to talk with you." So he said, "That's impossible." And she said, "Well, in all of your material, you say that all things are possible." So then he tried plan B and he said, "Well, did you speak to the people at my office?" She said, "Yeah, I spoke to them." He said, "Well, what did they say?" She said, "They said it was impossible." So he said, "So then we can't do it." And then she said, "Well, you're a hypocrite and you're a fraud." Now, don't try this at home. Especially not at your church home. Because you call me a hypocrite and fraud. Ain't no telling what I'm going to call you back now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just a little levity, just a little levity. But to keep on with the story. So when he got done, he went to his room. And while in his room, he wrote out all the things that he disliked about this lady. All right? Something's got to be wrong with her, they, and them. So after he came up with this list, he called one of his associates who he had just been on a book tour with, and he asked the associate, "Am I unreasonable? Am I pushy? Am I..." All of the things that he came up with the list. And he said at the other end of the phone, there was this long silence. Then he called his wife. He asked her the same questions. She said the silence was even longer. And then he realized that the woman, in all of his mastery, in all of his great teaching, in and through the millions of lives that he had touched as a result of the work that he was doing, there were still blind spots. There were still aspects of himself that he had not yet reconciled. And so this lady was lovely enough, she was kind enough to sign up for his conference and to take a moment to say to him, "I need to talk to you," just so that he might see for himself who he is. Because no matter who you are, where you are, we all have blind spots. But the beautiful thing about being spiritual beings is that we have an innate intelligence that allows us to attract to us people who are also spiritual beings. And they come and they help us see the blind spots. They say, "Sweetie, look at the mirror. You're not as bad as you think you are, but you can do a lot better." They say, "Honey, take a good look. It might seem like I'm down on you, or I don't like you, or I can't stand how your hair is done, but at the end of the day, I just want you to see yourself." There's nothing as powerful as knowing who you are and whose you are, and when we get past the blinders, we get an opportunity to see ourselves for who and what we are, and people the people that you have in your relationships. It doesn't matter if they're mothers, fathers, children, uncle, aunts, friends, co-workers, the whole gamut. There is not a single person in your experience who is not there by divine appointment and by right of consciousness. Now, if you have had enough of those folks in your experience, get the lesson. Find out what it is they came to teach you. Stop resisting yourself and learn from what the people come to teach you. If you let them teach you, you'll find that they are in business of blessing you. Sometimes God shows up as people. Sometimes God shows up as people, angels with skin on the bones that help you see that it's not as bad as it is. As a matter of fact, there's a saying as I really close, no matter how much you praise me. No, it's the other way around. No matter how much you criticize me, no matter how much you praise me, I got it. It's the saints. The saints throwing me off. Don't throw me off, saints. No matter how much you praise me, I've got a long way to go. And no matter how much you criticize me, I'm better than you think. God bless you.